Good evening, Razorback fans. We want to welcome you to the weekly Women's Sports Report presented by Fordham Lee Distillery and Bet Online, where it's the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contest events with the first to market odds and lines. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. So head on over to Bet Online today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE, BLE50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And tonight I am honored to present to you Jessica De Felippo of the Razorback Soccer, the postseason leading scorer, had 12 goals altogether this season. Another Elite Eight run for Arkansas Soccer. Thank you so much for taking time. I know you got a busy week and you're going to be heading off to your future endeavor this week. So, again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, I guess just with your career at Arkansas, I knew last year, kind of took a little bump in the road, had some injury. And I'd even said last year, telling the people that, you'd scored a couple of goals, you'd shown flashes of what you could bring to this program, and then the injury, of course. But, talk about your career as a whole and just leading into this season and coming off of that injury, what it meant.
Yeah, so I didn't start my career at Arkansas. I started at Louisville. I spent 2 years there, and it definitely was not the place that was best suited for me. I didn't feel myself growing in the direction I wanted to grow in. And so, I spoke with Colby. I entered the transfer portal, and Colby was straight up. He said, this is a place you can grow. You could show what you're capable of, but you're going to have to work for it, and it's not going to be easy. And I kind of wanted a challenge, I wanted to grow, and I knew he would hold me accountable to that. And so that's when I thought Arkansas would be a good fit for me. And coming here, I had a whole semester where I couldn't touch the field. So I was really just practicing with the team for 4 months. And I think that pushed me on the mental side of it and trying to tap into areas where I knew it needed to improve in, just like fitness and mental strength. And I think those 4 months really played a crucial part heading into my first season with Arkansas. And so my first season was really exciting. I was starting. We had a really good team going into that season. It was a really promising season. And I think out of conference, we started those games, and I was kind of just putting my toe in the water, and I don't think I fully explored what I was capable of. And SEC games started, and I think that's when I was starting to gain my confidence and starting to play like I knew I was capable of doing. And obviously the injury happened. But I look back on the injury now, and I think I spoke with Colby about this, and he said, I think the injury was the best thing that's ever happened to you. And it's weird to say because it took me out of the game for 8 months, but it made me really realize how much I wanted to play the sport and how much I enjoyed it. And so I made sure when I would come back for this season that just passed that I wanted to give it everything I had, because I knew what it meant to not be on the pitch and to play the game and to just watch. And I didn't want to be in that position or take it for granted ever again. And so I really wanted to leave everything out there. And I think that's what happened this season. I wanted to make my teammates proud, myself proud, my coaches, my family. And I wanted to show them what I was able to do, especially after an injury.
So it was almost like, you didn't realize what you had until it was taken away. I mean, and that's where, the COVID and it's crazy how we're still talking about it, but you talk to the players that went through the COVID era, we can call that now. And that's what it was like for them as well. You didn't realize what you had until it was taken away. There was no games. And someone like you and playing a game like soccer, I'm sure you've been playing it all your life, and that's all you knew. But coming to Arkansas, from Louisville, I mean, did you find it intimidating because, he said, hey, this is going to be a tough place to play, and then you got here and then you realized this is a tough place to play? I mean, I've watched a couple of the practices and stuff, very intense, but it's one of those deals that, he leaves it all on the table. Like, hey, look, you're coming to play with the best in the world, and I'm going to treat you like we're going to be playing with the best in the world.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was intimidating. I think it definitely was a challenge at first, but I had a lot of hope. I think transferring gave me a second motivation. I had to set new goals for myself. And, at times maybe it was I struggled a little bit, but like my teammates were all there, coaches were all there. They always want the best for me. So, no, I think it was more exciting than anything. So, yeah.
And you know, you always hear the negative comments about when kids leave, they use the transfer portal. And from a player's aspect, you know, kind of talk about what that second chance gave you. And it's not always the negative side of it. Really talk about the positive of, especially with, you know, you not fitting in. And I guess fans don't realize you're making these decisions at 15, 16, and 17 years
Mhm.
old, and you go into your senior year or junior year and you're 19 and 20, you know, a lot of growth happens. So explain to the ones that, you know, that you might could sway into looking at this a little differently of, hey, it's not about quitting. It's about, I want to grow as an athlete and I can go here and do that.
Oh, for sure. I think I was 15 when I committed to Louisville, so I was super young. Went on a visit, got inspired by the buildings and how the school works and the conference they played in. You know, I wanted to play in the ACC. But once I got there, I was 18 years old, and I turned 19 when I got there. And I think it took maybe 6 months to realize, like, hey, I don't think I fit the system. I don't know if I click with these players. Um, does this coach like do do her and the coach, you know, do I connect with her? Do we want the best for each other in this program? And I think it came down to, you know, in the end, like, I think I can grow somewhere else. I could fit into a better system. I can have people push me in different areas that I think I need to be pushed in, where I think a different coach can give me that. And entering the portal was kind of just me searching for something new, something that was going to push me in different areas. And also, like, at the end of this, when you play 4 years in college, you know, your dream is to go pro. And so in order to do that, you also need to be performing, you need to be on the field, and you need the exposure. And I didn't believe at the time that I was gonna get that at Louisville, and I thought going to Arkansas was a good school for me to start that.
And before we move on to the season, for the novice, even for me, you know, when you say the type of system, you know, a lot of people see soccer and you're running the pass and you're trying to do the set pieces, and we know corner kicks and goal kicks. But what do you mean for, like I said, explain about like types of programs and types of techniques that y'all play?
Yeah, so systems, it could vary by your personnel and what you're trying to do on the field. You know, you could be a passing team, you're trying to connect all these passes and move the defense around and try and go around them, or you could be a direct team who wants to go forward, is aggressive, wants to score goals and score them as many as they can. So I think it just depends on what formation or what system you fit into and what are the qualities you bring to that system. And it just depends on the coaches and how they see their players and how they can all work together as best as they can to perform and to display some goals on the field.
And this season, I mean, you know, you have Ava, yourself, Anna, Ellie, so much talent. B,
Mhm.
you know, Grace. I mean, you know, talking about somebody who grew during the season. I mean, one of those that you could see by the end of the year, she was like the voice of your team, but yet you would have thought she would have been in Arkansas 4 years, just how she
Mhm.
carried herself. And so what was it like coming into the season? You know, you're kind of, you know, you're coming off an injury, but you know, you faced a little bit more hardships this year in the regular season and losing the first game. And then, you know, like I said, during the SEC play. So how was it playing with a program that's not used to losing as much during the regular season? How hard was that to adjust and really, you know, set, you know, your sights on what meant the most in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, we had definitely lost a lot of players from last year, but we knew we had a lot of quality returning players, and we wanted to take advantage of that. And I think our standards never lowered for this team going into this season. We knew what we were going to be capable of doing. Um, but yeah, some, you know, just grace in the back, adding a lot to what we needed. And I think all of us together, especially seniors and returners, we worked all together to be leaders on the team. And we didn't have one player to lead everyone. I think we all had different qualities to bring in the leadership category. And we all made sure to bounce off each other and make sure that the team was on the same page that when we faced hard times that we were going to bounce back. And we didn't want to dwell on one game or what happened in the past. We wanted to move forward and grow from what had happened. So
And also, coming into the year, of course, like I said, the expectations of this team and the SEC championships and, back to back to back. But I think what really got me was, like I said, at one point, Ava was leading the team in goals, and then of course you had Anna. And then at what point during the season did you feel that something was clicking? Like you were, because it seemed like you showed glimpses of what you could be, and then a light switch hit and you just caught fire. What was that moment like, and what happened to really, I guess, say, all right, it's my turn, and I'm going to really show whatever I can do?
yeah, I think we had high expectations going into the SEC tournament after a big win against Kentucky, and it just didn't work out for us. And obviously, I had missed a PK that lost us the game, and I think that hit pretty hard because I had never really lost a game in that way, or like feel
Yeah.
the pressure or like the weight of that. And I kind of just sat there and realized like, hey, we have a whole bigger tournament to attack, and like I want to show up. I want to show up for my team. I want this team to go as far as possible, and in order them for to go as far as possible, I need to be doing my job. So I sat down with the coaches. We had a serious talk of what I wanted to obtain, especially this year, and I had one game promised at a time, 90 minutes, and I wanted to make sure that those 90 minutes I made good use of. And even like my teammates were saying, like, you're playing 90 minutes as if they're your last 90 minutes. And I think that was the difference. So yeah.
And, and as a D1 athlete and having to balance you being essentially a kid, a younger athlete, but yet you're playing at this high level, how hard is it to compartmentalize and really balance that, of knowing that, especially in the game like soccer, where one goal, you went on like a 4-game streak of 1-0 games. So how hard is that to realize in a game so stressful of one goal? The difference between playing in a season and yet play at a high level.
Yeah, I think we made sure that we would make all the most of like every opportunity we had. And if it was 1-0 and we knew that although like we would only score one goal all these games, but we created a lot of opportunities. And we knew our defense was strong. We knew that we are strong in that category. But I think it was just like there's promise as to like more goals are gonna come. And I think we still had the belief that at one point everything's gonna click. And sometimes you go ups and downs, and I think we were hoping that when postseason hit, the goals were gonna flow in. Because usually it happens before postseason, and then we struggle a little bit in the postseason. But we were hoping that it was going to be the opposite this year, and I think that's what happened a little bit. But no, I think we had each other. I think everyone's in the same group. When you play a sport and you're an athlete and you're also a student, I think you have all of your team and your teammates to bounce off of, and we all help each other through everything.
And I'd ask Coach Hale, if losing in the first round of the SEC tournament was like a blessing in disguise, because you're going through the past 3 years of making it to the final. And, he had said something going into the SEC tournament that, our team in soccer is not set up to play that many games back to back. So going into the NCAA tournament, could you tell a sense of your team was fresher? They seemed like they were ready for a deeper run in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, for sure. I think we came home after that tournament and had a different type of motivation, because we felt like we wanted more games to our season, and we lost out on that. And we didn't want to enter the NCAA tournament saying, oh, we only have one more game. We wanted to make it as far. We wanted to make the most of every game and make sure that we're one of very few teams left in the country that was still practicing together. So definitely, I think we are more fresh, but I think it was more like the mindset of like, we're not letting this happen again. We're not getting out of the first round. again, and we're going to do everything in our power to keep going.
And also, I mean, we'll end this segment on this one, then move on to the future plans. But talk about the fans, and of course, with you being a transfer and being treated like you've been here your whole career. I mean, what impact does that have on you when you were going on your postseason run and all the goals and the fans were packing the stadium when it was 30 degrees outside? You know, what does that say to this university, that because this is a women's show, you know, that the women's programs are treated the way they are, unlike a lot of schools around the country?
Yeah, we always say we have the best fans in the country, and I truly mean that because I've been to different universities. I've been in a different conference playing different teams, and I still come back to the Razorback fans always showing up for us and always having the best interests and wanting to be there for us and supporting us even off the field. And it does make a difference, you know, when you play a home game and you have a whole crowd show up and they're bringing the energy, they're helping you out. It does make a difference in the end. And I think in the postseason, we were pretty grateful that we were able to host more games than we were supposed to in the beginning. And I think that's what helped us get to an Elite Eight. So as much as we do on the field, I think people need to realize also that the people that come and support us have a great impact as well.
So moving on to, you know, your future plans, and you decided that you would indeed go pro, you know, what was the decision making into, you know, hey, this was the best for my future to decide to go play for pro, or you know, are you going to, you know, try to play for a national team? I mean, what is the next steps that we can look forward to seeing you in the future?
Yeah, I think ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to go play pro. When the season ended, I sat down with our coaching staff, and I think we both agreed that the way the season ended and how it was going, that I think going pro is the best decision. Just they thought I was ready for it. I believed I was ready for it. So wherever that takes me, I've entered the draft, and I'm super excited for that, and we'll see where that takes me. But I'm also, you know, Europe's always a possibility. So I think there's a lot of opportunities on the table, and it's just figuring out what's best for my growth and the best opportunities that are going to present. But there is a World Cup, the Women's World Cup, happening in late in the summer. So obviously that's always a dream of mine, is to play in a World Cup. And we're hoping that, you know, throughout the next few months that we can work hard and possibly get on that roster.
So that will be, you know, you'll be trying out and playing for, you know, supposedly Canada, or will you go be playing for the United States, or?
Yeah, it'll be for the Canadian women's national team. That's where I'm from. So I've been in the youth programs since I've been 12, and have been in out of camps. And I went to a U17 World Cup in 2017. And so that was really fun. We came fourth in the tournament, which is the best that Canada's done. But no, I definitely want to get back to a place where I'm wearing the maple leaf and representing my country.
And what would that mean to you? You know, all that hard work, that's the ultimate goal, you know, to represent your country, you know, and what would that mean to you, that if you are indeed one of those that get chosen to be on that roster?
It would be really special. I think it'd be really special to my family as well, just because I think when I was 4 years old, I was talking about it. So to think that it's sort of close and reachable is kind of crazy to believe. But it makes it all worth it. I think it's also like the another switch of motivation, you know, to keep going because it's paying off. So I think it's just to keep going and make sure that I attain my goals for sure.
Well, all the Razorbacks, myself included, we, you know, thank you for being a Razorback. Thank you for, you know, giving us everything you had. And I mean, coming off the injury and really, you know, producing the way you did this year. And the best of luck to you in making the World Cup and your professional career.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I think, honestly, all the Razorback fans and the university, they gave me a second chance to, you know, show what I can do on the field. So, no, great, really thankful, and hope I can pay everyone back.
Yeah. Well, you see behind me, I got the scarf and the vuvuzela. I annoy my family with it all the time. So.
They're good at games, but no one enjoys them for their ears.
They don't, though. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And that was Jessica De Felippo of the Razorback soccer program who, decided to go pro. I mean, what an amazing year. Started all 22 games, 12 goals, 8 assists, 32 total points, and really caught fire in the postseason and had 6 goals in the postseason for Razorback soccer, another Elite Eight run. And when we talk about the programs at Arkansas, we have to start talking about the soccer program as that standard. The track and field has always been one of the top programs when you think about Arkansas and women's athletics. But what Colby Hale's done at Arkansas, and when you lose as much talent that you had last year, you don't rebuild, you reload. And that's when you know that you are an elite program. That's when you know for sure that you're packing the stands for a game in February, March, and there's 1,500 people there. You don't see that. I mean, I'm sure that she's played in some soccer arenas, maybe 50 people showed up, but that's where Arkansas's come. And that's where Arkansas's come in softball. They've come in soccer, women's basketball. That's where we're proud as Arkansas Razorback fans to be able not just to be like all these other universities that just hang their hat on basketball or football or baseball. We get to spread the joy to the women's side of things, and for them to be as successful with the gymnastics teams ranked, swim dive team that's ranked, all the women's tennis team. Every program has shown promise in being ranked, and I can't see of any other, athletic program as a whole that I know you have some that are successful, but when you're finishing 7th, 8th, and 9th in the Director's Cup, as the best athletic program in the nation, it speaks volumes. And we mentioned before about, going by and watching a practice and just seeing how Coach Hale runs his practice. He's up there with the ranks of like how he is with his players, like, Saban and Coach Calipari in basketball, Coach Muss. He wants excellence. And that's what he demands, because when it comes down to it in a game like soccer, we stated before, one goal can mean the difference between you win or you're going home. So and I know that today's culture and today's world, some coaching styles are kind of, nobody wants to be hard. And knowing that when you get the respect of, I'm going to coach this certain way, and you get the respect that the players give him, look him in the eyes, say, yes, sir, and they go about their day. I mean, it just took me back to my, when I was in school and how the coaches were, and you respect that. The players respect it, and you see the results. That's what some don't realize, is the fact that you see the results of what you're getting when you get a coach like Coach Hale. And he tells them from the jump when he recruits them, and whether it be the transfer portal or you're coming out of high school, if you come to Arkansas, you better be prepared to work. This is not going to be an easy ride. You're not going to be out partying. You're not going to be out on Dixon Street. And for those who do that, they choose to do what they wish. That's nothing saying, nothing against what you choose to do with your off time. But when you come play for Arkansas soccer and Coach Hale, that's the difference. That's where he sets that standard of, no, this is how it's going to be. And if you don't want to play how I want to coach you, there's 100 plus other schools that you can go play soccer at. So it was really, really good to get Jessica's perspective and her, insight on the team this year and the depth that they're building. And it was very interesting to see who comes back, what type of season they'll have next year. And it's going to be very exciting, because we know that no matter what, they're going to reload, rebuild, however you call it. But what we'll do is we'll move on to the basketball. The women's team 12-0, the best start ever under Mike Neighbors at Arkansas. I don't remember the last time they were 12-0, but they're about to wrap up their non-conference season. They have a big matchup this Saturday at Creighton. And you remember last year, Creighton gave them all they wanted, ended up winning the game. So this is going to be a big test for this Arkansas squad, because you see 12-0, but with the more wins you have, there's always the skeptics of being complacent and getting comfortable, because you've got Creighton, then you've got Oregon, Ohio State, and then you start your SEC season with LSU. So these next 3 games are going to be huge for Arkansas. And then, of course, when you go into, what team that Kim Mulkey is going to bring into the Bud Walton Arena, and you're doing all of that with finals and the holidays. Christmas is just right around the corner. So it's been interesting to watch this team just defensively, how they are. The length with Jersey and Saylor. You got Merriam down low. Anybody can go for 20. Samara Spencer Michaela Daniels is going through some kind of load management or something going on with her sitting out a few games, hopefully coming back through the Creighton game. And we'll find out more later on this week when we talk to Coach Neighbors about the game on Saturday. But this team is starting off hot. Chrissy Carr, ever since that she found her shot down in the Virgin Islands, it hasn't left. It's just the quick release shot that every time she throws it up, you have a feeling that it's going in. And it's just, this is going to be a very, very interesting year with how this team plays, because we know how the last 4 years have went. They play strong. They lose games that they're not supposed to lose, but yet they've won games they're not supposed to win. But it feels like this year is a little bit different. And when you got LSU at home, you go to Kentucky, Florida, and it's almost like a flip-flop deal. But January is going to be a big, big month for Arkansas at the tail end, because you go to at LSU and then at South Carolina back-to-back, Thursday, Sunday. So that's going to be a big test coming up at the end of January. So they're going to have, 1, 2, 3, 4 games, and even the Vanderbilt game on the 16th. Vanderbilt, beat them last year at Vanderbilt. So they have a lot of size. They're out rebounding teams this year, passing the ball. I know Coach alluded to some things that he had seen about in the fourth quarter that he's going to address, and said that he was going to go address the team after the game, which he never does. So, but what's funny is you want those problems in December other than in February and March. So we'll see how all that plays out, but it's going to be a tough stretch, because, like I said, the more games you win, the bigger that target gets. And if you go into SEC play undefeated, your first game's against LSU, which LSU, I've stated before, hasn't played anybody. They haven't been tested. They don't play a tough schedule like Arkansas does. And it's funny, me and Paul Boyd, my good friend Paul Boyd, were looking at their schedule, and half the teams didn't even have logos. It was like Twitter sometimes, and all these blank avatars on there. So the team finally got ranked. They deserve to be ranked. They're 21 in the nation, and with a win over Creighton this Saturday, they will end up getting ranked higher. And then you've got to go out to the San Diego Invitational, where they play Oregon, and then it says Ohio State or University of South Florida. So we'll see how all that plays out, but we will have more of that next week. I know it's going to be until gymnastics really kicks off. This is going to be a heavy women's basketball show, with that being the only thing really going on right now in the world of women's athletics. But I'll still try to get some guests on to talk about other things coming on. I'd love to have Coach Weaver come on and talk about the season coming up. I want to try to get that in the works, and just get some of these coaches and these players on that we don't hear about from. And that's the point of this show. We're the only one in the SEC that has a women's only podcast. So it's awesome that we're able to do this. The fans have really been reacting to it. They love it. And I can't wait to keep this thing moving. But yeah, we'll have gymnastics stuff going on along with the women's basketball. And then, of course, women's basketball goes all the way into March, and that roll into softball season. So it's never a dull moment when it comes to the women's side of things. But for me, Porter Hayes, that will do it for this weekly Women's Sports Report. Again, we're presented by Fordham Lee Distillery and Bet Online. We will catch you tomorrow night. We're going to do a men's basketball preview. We haven't been talking much about the men's basketball team because there's been so much football news. And again, with the news of Dow Loggins going to South Carolina, we might touch on that a little bit and keep you updated on the Mike Leach news, which, again, it's very somber right now. Been seeing reports that he has indeed passed away. I don't know. I can't report that because I haven't really confirmed it, but that's what it's leaning towards. So a lot of prayers go out to him and his family, and we will talk about it more tomorrow night on the Wednesday edition presented by the law offices of Robertson, Shipley, Beasley, and Robertson.